This past Saturday, I had the honor, the privilege to be an MC at the third annual Hometown Heroes Parade and Festival at Tropical Park. I got a chance to meet and talk to our next guest and find out what he does and why he does it. So I want to bring him in right now. Danny Morales is a detective with Miami-Dade PD's Homicide Division. He is founder and president of Bleeding Blue. It's a nonprofit dedicated to supporting law enforcement and their families. You could follow them on Instagram at _bleedingblue. And their website is bleedingblue.info. Danny, I appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, good morning, Manny. How are you?
Good. All right. Tell me first what Bleeding Blue is.
So it's a 501c3 nonprofit. And like you had mentioned, we raise money for injured and fallen law enforcement officers. And that's not only on duty, but also off-duty incidents, while at the same time advocating for mental health well-being for all first responders.
When and why did you decide to found Bleeding Blue?
So we started this mission about 2 years ago. We hit 2 years now in November, actually. So it's been a great ride. The reason behind it was we lost a very special person in our lives. It was a first responder. He was shot and killed, Cesar Echeverry. And then right after that, one of my good friends was also shot. Thankfully, he's still alive with us today. But it kind of triggered, a response from the law enforcement community to want to help, and we took it upon ourselves as a family. I come from a family of law enforcement, and we just wanted to start something that where we can give back. At the end of the day, we live in Miami-Dade. We're law enforcement, and if this were ever to happen to my family, I would hope somebody would do it for me.
And this is one of the things that's different for you and Bleeding Blue than other law enforcement charities, is the fact that it's dedicated not only to helping the law enforcement officer who might be injured in the line of work, but also their families. That's something that doesn't get as much attention as I think it should.
Yeah, so the biggest difference for us is we're small, but we're able to do different things than everybody else. And one thing that I do all the time, and I say all the time, is we're going to find ways to fundraise for these families that other organizations aren't doing. That way we're not interfering with their fundraisers either. And then the mental health side of things is huge. We're able to advocate for mental health, provide resources, host a mental health conference, and that kind of differentiates us from all the other organizations that are out there.
Yeah, and that's become an increasing problem. Obviously, a concern here. We've seen what's happened in Miami-Dade law enforcement with the mental health aspect of it. You mentioned you're a cop. You come from a family of law enforcement. Do you think we've come far enough in eliminating the stigma of a cop saying, This hit me hard. I need help, man, because it's one of those macho industries where it could be not only frowned upon to ask for help if you're having mental health issues, but you're concerned about your promotions. You're concerned about getting your weapon taken away, things along those lines.
Manny, let me tell you, we have made it a long way. I have seen it, drastically change throughout the last couple of years, but we're not done yet. I think there's still a lot of work to be done. I think there's a lot of resources out there that people are not aware of, that law enforcement officers, even first responders overall, are not aware of. And unfortunately, we're still seeing the suicide rate rise in law enforcement, and even in fire rescue. We just had a couple people that committed suicide not that long ago. So our mission is to continue to spread that, continue to end the stigma, and continue to help first responders.
Danny Morales, detective with Miami-Dade PD's Homicide Division. He's the founder and president of Bleeding Blue. The website is bleedingblue.info. Talk to me about you, why you decided to become a cop, what you do with the Homicide Division.
It kind of runs in the blood, I was raised by my stepdad. My stepdad was law enforcement for 30-something years. My brother is also a police officer with us in Miami-Dade. And it was one of those things where it's like, hey, you were raised in it. This is what you know. This is what you love. I was brought around the police station growing up. I actually went to police and fire high school. Mm-hmm. So it made sense. And it's a decision that I will never regret, honestly. It's been a blessing.
One of the things that I don't think gets enough attention, and we're talking about the mental health aspect, every time, I don't know if you're married, I don't know if you have kids, but obviously from a law enforcement family, you know what it feels like to have your stepdad, your brother go on the streets and worried about whether or not they're going to come back home that night. It's not something that most people in most industries have to worry about.
Yeah, I feel bad for my mom because she has to deal with all three of us.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a tough ride. Sometimes you're you're working these long hours, or even you hear about an incident, hey, officer's been shot, officers, something's occurring, and the first thing that goes to your head is, hey, where's my brother, where's my stepdad, we're like, is everybody okay, even your friends, right? So, it is a lot of hours, you're missing holidays, you're missing birthdays, you're making a sacrifice, and at the end of the day, you're doing this for people that you don't even know. But I can assure you that there is a reason why every police officer decides to go into this, and it's definitely not for the money. It's because they love what they do and they want to be able to help their community.
I brought the hat in that I made a donation, the little donation the other day, and managed to get one of these awesome hats. I'm holding it up to the camera. We'll post a video on Instagram as well. I'm not going to ask people to donate to Bleeding Blue, but what I'm going to ask each and every one of our listeners is to go to the website, read about the group. You've got some great videos, a lot of information on there on what you do, why you do it, and the proceeds all go to the law enforcement and their families that need the help, correct?
Yes, so we're 100% volunteer-based. Every single dollar that comes in, every single dollar goes out to a law enforcement family. And we've been able to donate over $200,000 to 43 different families at this point, in less than 2 years, actually.
Becoming a monthly donor, the Munoz family is, and might need to get me some more of these hats because they're absolutely awesome. Again, Danny Morales, detective with the Miami-Dade PD's Homicide Division. He is founder and president of Bleeding Blue. They're dedicated to supporting law enforcement and their families. You can follow them on Instagram at _Bleeding Blue, and their website is bleedingblue.info. That's .info, bleedingblue.info. Danny, two things. Appreciate what you're doing with Bleeding Blue. Best of luck. I will continue to support it. I hope our listeners do as well. And thank you for what you do each and every day. All of the men and women of law enforcement. Stay safe out there, man. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right. Best of luck, Danny.